Have you ever wondered what separates the survivors from those who don't make it? Do you think it's the strongest, or do you think it's the healthiest, maybe the wealthiest, or the smartest, or maybe the person who has the most connections? Well, the truth is none of them. The truth is that when faced with the most extreme circumstances, it wasn't these things that mattered. In fact, only 1 out of every 17 men survived in Nazi concentration camps. But it wasn't the healthiest or the strongest or the wealthiest. So what made the difference? It turns out it was meaning. And Viktor Frankl, who survived it all, says the real secret to survival was the strength of your purpose. I first learned about this story when I was reading the book Being Happy by Andrew Matthews. That book introduced me to Viktor Frankl's work, particularly Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl's powerful story and philosophy made me rethink so many things about life, my perspective on suffering, and also survival. If you're interested in Frankl's life lessons, by the way, I've created a video that connects his story to Werner von Braun's journey from Nazi Germany to NASA. You can check that out later, it might really surprise you. That story was also a takeaway for me, a very powerful takeaway from the book Being Happy. But I remember when I read the story of Viktor Frankl, and especially that very impressive and powerful opening, starting with that question, I became very curious, and years later I found the actual book written by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That book has been published so many times all over the world and has influenced many people who have written similar other very seminal books. What struck me the most about Frankl's experience was how he found meaning even in the worst of suffering. Imagine those environments were probably the closest things we can think of, quote-unquote, hell on earth. Every moment you are exposed to death, you're just basically moving from one moment of death to the other. But his story goes beyond just survival. It's about thriving despite pain. So it's not just about surviving, it's actually about thriving as well. I started to think about the moments in my life when I also have faced hardships. It's hard, but having something to hold on to, something meaningful, something deeply meaningful to you, is something that can make you to survive through all of those hardships. Frankl's belief was that if you don't have meaning, you lose your ability to truly live. Frankl famously said that suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. Think about that for a second. When life feels impossible, the difference between thriving or succumbing is not your physical strength or mental brilliance, but your ability to find purpose. This is where hope enters the picture. Without hope, we spiral into despair. With hope, we can endure unimaginable suffering. And that's the lesson I want to share with you today. Meaning changes everything. So how do we find that meaning? Frankl teaches that we can choose our attitudes towards suffering. If we focus on what we can control, again, if we can focus on what we can control rather than what we cannot control, even in the darkest moments, we can still hold on to meaning. But don't just take it from me. Think of someone you know who has faced extreme hardship and never gave up. What's their story? Finding meaning isn't just something we do in big moments, though. It's about how we approach seemingly small daily struggles as well. It's the little things, like purpose in your career or a passion in your personal life. Those all are similar aspects. You don't have to go to an environment like concentration camp to basically carve out your meaning for life, right? Even in those small moments, sometimes you may feel that you have lost the directionality, whether it's in your career or personal life or any other area. If this video resonates with you and you're looking for more stories that challenge the way you think about life, subscribe. By subscribing, you'll get updates on content like this, and more importantly, you'll be part of a community, or I would like to describe it, a journey that's actively trying to make sense of life's toughest moments and how to basically make a bridge between the world of spirituality, psychology, and such sciences with life, career, even material world. It's not just for me, but for you as well, so we can continue to explore and grow together. And here's where it gets really interesting. Frankl's belief wasn't about avoiding suffering, but about how we find purpose in it. Imagine this: you're faced with a challenge, and instead of wishing it away, you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? What kind of opportunity is this presenting to me? When we find meaning, we also find the strength to make it through anything. And that's not just survival. It's basically living life, maybe love as well, to the fullest. Before I wrap up, I want to remind you that the meaning you seek is already within you. I know that might sound a little bit cliche or cheesy, but it also ties to this concept that instead of looking for extrinsic motivations, look for intrinsic motivations, things that are coming from within you. If you haven't already, check out the video I mentioned earlier on Wernher von Braun and how his life challenges were connected to finding meaning in his darkest days as well. It's a surprising and fascinating story as well. And again, don't forget, subscribe and share if you believe there is more to life than just getting through the day. Let's explore this together, especially if you think, or if you even think there might be a chance that this content might give even a little bit of hope to someone else. Please consider sharing. And just one last note before wrapping up. I just want to dive a little bit deeper into the story of Viktor Frankl himself. He was, as far as I remember, obviously he was of a Jewish family and background in Austria. Before World War II, he was living in a very happy and seemingly very affluent life of a very rich background. And just when the World War II was around the corner, he had met the love of his life and they were planning to get married. But that was when the Nazis started to march toward Austria, and the alarms were all over the places and the fear was in the air. Most of his family decided to move out of Austria, mostly to the US, and everyone was encouraging him, come on with us. But he basically said, no, I would stay here, I would fight, I would continue working, and I would propose marriage to the love of his life despite the very dark possible future like in front of them. And also one caveat here, I tried to do a research but I couldn't find that exact number, but I clearly remember that powerful picture from the book Being Happy, that only one out of something around 17 men really could survive. And it wasn't again about being the smartest or healthiest or strongest or the wealthiest. It was about those who had a meaning, those who could see something beyond that. And for Frankl himself was the possibility of getting reunited with the love of his life. And the utterly surprising fact is that even though he managed magically to survive until the end of the World War II, after the war, he faced this dark truth that his wife, his meaning throughout that hell-like time, was already dead. they had already killed his wife. Imagine that, like, your only shed of light, the only light at the end of the tunnel, when you get to the end, you realize that was actually a hallucination, or that is gone. Despite that, he decided to continue to build on what he had learned, his own experiment, and he established this school of psychology called logotherapy, and he decided to help others who are going through suffering. So that was very powerful for me. I hope it's inspiring enough for you too, and if it is, you can certainly check out the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and staying until this point. See you in the next video.